Steve Horne, CEO of 360 Basketball, native of Pensacola, Florida. Um, 360 Basketball is a program, a service that I provide for athletes, a safe space for them to come in to develop, not just physically, but mentally as well, and consult them in the right decisions to make, especially when they get past high school, to give them an opportunity.
That was like you just working, you just literally just playing chess at that point.
Meeting a player to me is very important. First off, I start off with an assessment. So, you could build a rapport with the player, which is extremely important, and as well with the parents, so we can be on the same page, right? And then from there, with that assessment, we move forward on what's the best process for them and the route for them to go in their development. I remember my father's from Atlanta, Georgia. He was a big fan of Dominique Wilkins, and he used to speak about him. Even though I got an opportunity to see him play later, when I first got an opportunity to see Dominique Wilkins, of course, Michael Jordan, this is something that I knew right away that I wanted to do, right? I remember my parents watching the finals, and from that point on, Chicago being in the finals and seeing Michael Jordan is something I knew I wanted to be. So it started with my dad building a rim in the backyard, and guys from the neighborhood coming to play in my neighborhood. And from there, that's where I learned my skill, mental toughness, and that allowed me to be able to play in high school, which led to me to play in college and pro. And it's just been a great development, a great story, great process. Now, in between those things, I faced some challenges. For me personally, a lot of people don't know this, but I did not make the team in middle school, and everybody in my neighborhood did make the team, but me. Imagine all your friends, but you didn't make the team as a kid. Yeah, that was tough, and I still had to go to school. Well, the biggest thing for us, and while we're trying to find out what it is that we want to accomplish in life, we have to clarify what that is, right? Trying to find your purpose is difficult, right? And for me, I was lucky enough to find mine at a young age, and I stuck with it. Now, it didn't go the way I planned, but in the long run, the things I learned, the wisdom that I was able to acquire during that time made me the person I am now, right? And to be able to help someone else that might fall through that don't have to go through the same challenges that I've been through, right? So I always say trusting the process of improvement. So me, when I found out, of course my goal was to make it to the NBA. I played overseas 9 years, played Division I basketball, and even had challenges for both. But me going through those challenges and being able to navigate through them, that's what made me a much better player on and off the court, and be able to run a successful business. That's a good question. My last year, I played in Iran for a team, Azad. It was a great league. Iranian league was a tough league. We ended up winning we came in third that year, but the following year they were 8th seed. And now we were able to get me and another import player, were able to get them to the third spot, which they were extremely happy about. But the following year they changed the rules for the Euro players. So instead of having 2 Americans, they can only have 1. And at that time, that position they needed was the other import. I also had an injury. I hurt my groin pretty bad and kept re-injuring it. I had another offer to go to Japan, actually, but I could not heal properly to be able to go back. So from that point, I took a year off trying to figure out life. I had a child. I actually had a child in college, so you can't sit out too long because I have a responsibility. And I was just trying to figure it out. And I went through that education process. I came in started coaching, and then I got into education. Well, I feel, like I said, I'm not gonna say I didn't have any support, but the support that I needed at the time was relatability and what it is that I can do next, right? So with, being able to travel the world and coming back to a small city, that's hard for a lot of people to relate to. They'll tell you their perspective of it, but it would have helped if I'd have had somebody that went through the struggles that I went through, right? Because mentally I was, at first I was acting as if I was fine, still going out, basically finding distractions, and while I figured it out until, it hit me where, like anybody else, like, hey, we have to, money getting low, what's going on, what are we gonna do? And I think during that time of my life, it made me soul search and the process of what I need to work on for myself. And when I wrote out my other goal, I said, okay, I would like the coach to give back for somebody that won't have to go through these same challenges that I went through, at least can help them cross, right? And when I started to figure out what it is with coaching and how many things I had to do, information I had to, of course, to know, to be able to share, it made me go back to the drawing board and help me with my self-development. Well, what I wanted to make sure that I wanted to have a one-stop shop, right? So when I went back to telling you that I couldn't have nobody to relate to, I think in my program, what I'm excited about is that I have every level here, from middle school all the way to pros on both sides of it, whether it's overseas, even every now and then NBA guy might want to come in and talk, former NBA guy or WNBA. So I think that a kid having the opportunity to see what it is that they're trying to accomplish and see the work ethic that player puts in, I think it changes perspective. Growing up, I didn't have anybody to look at, behind the scenes, because we were from a small city. A lot of guys in other cities had other NBA players, players that they could look up to and give them advice, right? The city where I was from, we didn't have that. So, or I didn't have the resource to it, I should say that. And now, with me knowing what it is now, when the players come in, they get an opportunity to see, hey, do I really want to do this? Because this is how hard this person works on that craft. Because, going to the games, going to a game or watching on TV, you just seeing the end result of that, what they're putting in, the work they have put in, but you really don't know, right? The extra work they did to be great, you know what I mean? First of all, to me, purpose is something that you have been blessed with, a gift that you don't have to put as much effort as somebody else. I mean, it comes to you a little easier. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to work, but it's your gift. So I feel like, when you're in your gift, things are open up for you differently than somebody else. And nobody can really duplicate what you do because that's your gift. The challenge is finding that, right? So for me, when you ask how do I get into, with 360, I just wanted to make sure that these services can provide somebody and they can find out what they want to do organically in this, and if this is even what they want to do. That's very important for me, you know what I mean? That's an amazing feeling, because I had the opportunity to be a part of the process. So when I go to the games and they play well, it's just a great feeling because I know what they did to get to that point, right? So, we live in this world right now, instant gratification, when so many people go through highlight reels all day. But I think they get confused, reels versus real. That's why they're spelled two different ways. One is spelled R-E-E-L and the other one's R-E-A-L. So I think they go through a perception of everybody thinking that it's easy and you can do it, and you can't, and it's a process to it. So for me to be able to impact a player in a positive way in any spectrum is an amazing feeling. Well, I think that's a great question because I have many single parents that come and speak with me about not knowing what the next step is, and that's why we do the consulting, because what they end up doing is, which is natural, with instant gratification, wanting the now, they'll follow social media and be like, hey, my son or my daughter should go to this team or this process or a program, which every kid is different. You know what I mean? And I think that's when, for me, the assessment comes in at to have a real conversation so they know what's best for their kid to go forward. So the challenges are just because you let them know what it is, they still can follow and go another route. Not saying that's wrong, but just going off what many other people do, right? And then the child too, because they want to play with their friends, you know? So that would be my biggest challenge, just the consulting part and getting them to trust the process, yeah. Now that's a good question. I think now putting having a program now for my guys that's finishing college, that they have an opportunity to come back, you know, if they want to get back to the game and consult them in that way. I had a few guys reach out to me now that they're done with college, playing basketball their last year and trying to figure out what it is they want to do, but having a safe place for them to come and network with people and meet people and actually show them the process of getting started in the business. So, you know, I have people in place for that as well. So I think that's what I'm trying to put together now, a program, you know, afterwards. If they're done, if they would like to come back and maybe even do the same thing. I think for me, the most important thing about all of it is to be able to inspire. You know, I think people need to, you know, everybody has their different definition of success. To me, success is just simply doing something that you love and you make an impact on someone's life, right? So, you know, and also being able to do whatever you want to do, with whom you want to do it with, whenever, you know, and freedom and stability. That to me is success. And so for me right now to be able to do something that I know I'm genuinely impacting people's lives, I can't put it in words, you know what I mean? So that's what I would like to say. Well, you can definitely find me at 360basketball.com, my website. My IG is 360 Basketball, and then as well as 360 Fitness. Twitter, 360 Basketball as well. So